Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and I just got a package in the mail from Ninjago Prints. Inside of this package should be 2 custom-printed Ninjago minifigures, which I'm very excited to take a look at. I've covered custom Ninjago minifigures quite a few times on this channel. I have a full playlist if you want to go check out the other ones. But in this video, I'm going back to Ninjago Prints. I've not covered them in a little while just because they haven't made anything in a little while. But they were the first ever custom-printed Ninjago minifigures I've ever made a video on, so I'm excited to see what they have in store this time around. I'll leave a link to the Ninjago Prints Instagram in the description below if you guys want to go check out these figures for yourself. This is not like a sponsored video or anything. I did purchase these minifigures. However, I am friends with Luma, the guy who runs Ninjago Prints, and I just really like the idea of custom printed Ninjago stuff in general because I like the fact that fans are creating the things that LEGO never did. So with all that said, I am still going to do my best to give you guys my genuine impression and reaction to these minifigures. So without further ado, let's open this package up and see what's inside. Here is the business card, I believe. Feel free to pause that and read it if you want. And now let's pull the minifigures out. Okay, so we have 2 here, and they're both the Jay minifigures. We have Dark Jay and Tournament Jay. And yep, that's everything in the package. So let me take these out so we can have a closer look at them. Here's a much closer look at the custom Dark Jay. More specifically, this is Dark Matter Jay from Ninjago Season 2. If you guys don't remember, this is from the finale of the season. They're climbing up the tower that would later become Borg Tower because the Overlord's at the top. And one by one, each of the ninja fall and get sort of like corrupted by the Dark Matter and become evil so that Lloyd can get to the top. So this is a variant that only appears for a very short time in Ninjago. However, it does look very cool in the show. And it's something we never got physically, so it's quite cool to see a custom of it. And I do have to say, in terms of the design, I do really like how this was done. My favorite detail is probably the use of sand blue for the detailing. The actual plastic on the arms is sand blue, but then the design of the kimono matches that color. And I think that's a really smart decision, because in the show, these guys are basically grayscale. It's very dark, so you don't get like the best look at them. But yeah, the whole thing is all the ninja turn like gray and evil. So Ninjago Prints very easily could have just used dark bluish gray here and it would have worked fine. But the sand blue instead makes this feel like a corruption on Jay. There's still that little bit of blue peeking through, right? It gives him his own identity. And if they ever go through and make dark versions of the other ninja, that'll help make them all feel a little bit different despite all being grayscale. As a point of comparison, here's the custom Dark Jay with the official kimono Jay right next to it. This is, of course, the suit that this is based off, because this is the suit that Jay's wearing when he gets corrupted in the show. And they did a pretty good job of recreating this graphic basically 1-to-1. There's Jay's kimono symbol in the corners, there's even like the little folds in the fabric. I think it's a really good translation of this suit. Now, the original suit does have metallic silver printing on it, which this one does not have. If this was an official minifigure, I'd probably be somewhat critical of that. However, it's not official, it's custom. I can imagine metallic printing is not the easiest to do, so I think just having it solid gray is perfectly fine. I don't know if I've ever seen a custom printed figure that uses metallic printing at all. That is very much an official LEGO thing. So I still think this looks good. The hairpiece is actually very cool too, because this is an official LEGO part, but it's not an official LEGO color. I believe what I saw is this is actually dyed. I don't actually know what goes into that process, but it turned out amazing. Especially because it's not like exactly any official LEGO color, right? It's very close to dark bluish gray, but you can see a little bit of that original color peeking through. And that makes this very reminiscent of how this character appeared in the show. Because I'm pretty sure in the show they literally put a grayscale filter over everything, but didn't like turn it all the way up. So you still could see a little bit of Jay's original hair color, and you can see that here too. So yeah, I think that looks absolutely amazing. And then this Jay also has his own custom face print. It's printed on a light bluish gray head, and he's got this very intense expression, something we never got on any of these original Jay minifigures, but I think it really works for this version. He's still got like that iconic eyebrow notch right there, and of course the biggest thing is like the vibrant purple eyes. And this figure also has an alternate face, which is designed to look more like the official Jay face from back in 2013 when the kimono figure came out, but of course modified to be dark and evil, so it's on the light gray and it's got the purple eyes. Again, seeing these side by side, I think this looks really cool. With the armor removed, here you can see the back torso print, and just like the front, it's pretty much translated from that original figure, though with sand blue instead of regular blue. But a detail I really love here is the inclusion of the Overlord symbol in place of Jay's symbol. Now, this guy appeared for a very short period of time in the show, so I don't know if you ever actually see the back torso print or if this was just made up for this minifigure. But either way, switching from Jay's symbol to the Overlord symbol I think makes a lot of sense, and genuinely looks super cool. The border around the symbol, too, looks to be rotated, which is something interesting. I'm not sure if that's like a show parody thing, or if it was just done to make this guy look a little bit more different from the original. But either way, I think it works well enough. And even with the armor piece on, of course, you can see the symbol a little bit through the back of the armor. So in terms of the actual design of this figure, I think this is perfect, honestly. This is one of the coolest custom printed Ninjago figures I've ever gotten. I just love how unique the colors and everything are, and it does feel like a direct 1-to-1 translation of something from the show. And I am especially partial to custom minifigures from those early seasons of Ninjago, because like, that's what I grew up on. That's what I was playing with when I was a kid. These are the kinds of things that I always wanted, but of course was never able to get because they never existed physically. So I'm glad to see that people like Ninjago prints are going into making these now. Now moving on from actual design and talking about print quality, it's about on par with previous Ninjago prints custom minifigures I've reviewed before. However, since then I have also reviewed custom minifigures from other printers, and I will say the other ones I've reviewed are a little bit higher in terms of print quality. With Ninjago prints, there's a little bit of fuzziness to the printing, and it's not the worst. It's probably going to look worse for you guys because you're seeing the figures up close, but like having them in hand, of course, minifigures are so tiny that like I don't mind the print quality that much. But yeah, it's definitely fuzzier than an official LEGO minifigure, and even a little bit more than other custom printed minifigures I've taken a look at. And then the other thing is the printing is slightly three-dimensional. Like if you run your fingers over it, you can feel like the printed parts versus the plastic, as opposed to an official minifigure where it feels completely flat. That's again not a huge deal, but it's something to be aware of in a couple places. Number one, it can make the legs of the figure a little more difficult to pose because when you move them, they'll rub against the inside of the hip, and that can actually rub off the printing. You can see I actually did that right here. There's now this white streak that was not there before. So that's definitely something to be aware of if you get this figure. It's probably best to try and only move the legs backwards if you can, because while you can move them forward, you do risk damaging the printing. And then the other place this is noticeable is with the hairpiece. I think especially with the dyed hairpiece, it probably adds like a little bit of volume there, not a ton, but it's like the slightest bit. So that with the headpiece, I've actually found it very difficult to get this hairpiece off. Of course, I have been able to do it because I was able to show you the alternate face. But yeah, you can see if I try to grab just the hairpiece, the entire head's going to come off. And I really have to get in here with my finger to remove it. I'm actually struggling to get it off now. It worked fine before. Maybe it's because the alternate face is at the back now? There we go. So yeah, it definitely is possible to get it off, and you can see the back of the face is not like damaged or anything, but it makes it a lot more difficult than an official LEGO minifigure. Now, both of these things don't really bother me a ton. Like, obviously, I'd prefer if they were a little bit better, but I also think it's important to remember this is a fan-made project making things for fans, and they are working with the restrictions of only using official LEGO pieces. So if LEGO was doing this kind of thing, it definitely would annoy me, but for one guy making custom-printed Ninjago minifigures, I think it's fine. However, I still think it's important to point out for any of you guys who are considering buying this minifigure. Finally, price. It was $27 for this one, I believe. And again, it's very hard to judge price when it comes to a custom printed minifigure, because if this was official, I'd say, no, there's no way I'm paying $27 for one LEGO minifigure. But again, this is mostly a passion project from a fan, and there was clearly a lot put into this. Of course, it had to be designed. A lot of it was taken from this minifigure, but you still had to recreate this, get the colors right and everything. The faces are both completely original designs, and I'm sure there's a lot that goes into dyeing the hairpiece too. But yeah, this figure has custom printed legs, a custom printed double-sided torso, a custom printed double-sided head, and a dyed hairpiece. I think $27 for that is fine. Obviously, I would have liked it was a little bit cheaper, but there's enough unique parts here that I get why they charged what they did. At least personally, for my collection, I'm satisfied with this purchase. And now here's the other custom minifigure I ordered. It's another Jay minifigure. This is the custom Tournament of Sources Jay. That last minifigure was very classic. This one's very modern because this is a summer 2024 Jay minifigure, which we did not get in sets. Instead, in those sets, we got the Evil Jay minifigure, which was very cool, but he didn't match the rest of the ninja. So if you like collecting every ninja in every suit, you're missing something for Jay for Tournament. At least one that matches the rest of the ninja. So this is something that didn't appear in the show, but it's a made-up, like, good Jay minifigure. And I think that's a really cool concept. Personally, I definitely found the other minifigure in this video a lot more interesting because that's something from the show we didn't get. This is something just like new and imaginary, but it still looks quite good. As a point of comparison, I'm going to put the official Tournament of Sources Lloyd minifigure right next to him because all the Tournament of Sources suits are made to look like each other. And I'll show you this guy in the full lineup at the very end, but yeah, we can just see how these two figures are similar and how they differ. Each of the ninja have like a little elemental symbol in the corner of their chest, so Jay's got a little lightning one, which I think looks good. I think I would have preferred if there was less like individual parts of it because you can see like there's a lightning strike in the middle, but then there's all like these little lightning bits around the sides, and I think that's maybe a little bit messy. If I didn't know Jay was the lightning ninja, I'm not sure if I would necessarily read that as lightning, but he still does do a good job of differentiating from the others, because yeah, his symbol's not like any of the others. Zane's is probably the closest, but they're still clearly different, and there is that jagged line in there, which is how lightning should look. And honestly, I guess a lot of their symbols are somewhat abstract, so it works fine. Then they each have a little banner that says their element. For example, Lloyd, it says MOE for Master of Energy. That's not Lloyd's element, but that's besides the point. So on Jay right here, that matches. It says MOL for Master of Lightning. And then there's like a little pendant of the Source Dragon of Energy, just like Lloyd has the Source Dragon of Life. And once again, that's something that all the ninja have, so Jay fits in nicely. The Ninjago letter J is down here as well. Once again, just like the previous minifigure I covered, no, there's no metallic printing on this guy, so that does create another difference between this figure and the official ones. However, I do quite like the matte gold color that they chose. I feel like it fits in well. Yellow, I think, is a super cool color for the belt, especially because this is the season where Jay uses, like, yellow lightning for the first time. I do think the yellow's maybe a little bit too vibrant. I would have liked more bright yellows, sort of like Core Jay uses. But again, I think it works well enough. And then armor, face print, half mask, hairpiece, none of that's new. All of that's official LEGO pieces. But it, of course, creates consistency between this guy and the other figures. And then he does have a back torso print with his Source Dragon symbol on it, just like the others do. And I think this looks amazing. The Source Dragon of Energy is very clear here with, like, the lightning horns. And then, of course, Jay's symbols in the middle. I really like the Tornadosauruses suits in general, but especially that like black outline that they both have, it really makes that pop on their backs. And again, this is a completely original design. Like, yes, it's clearly based off these minifigures, but there wasn't like this Source Dragon symbol to just take. This had to be originally designed for this minifigure, and it feels like it fits in nicely. So overall, in terms of design, once again, I do like this minifigure. Not as much as the last one, but also there's a lot more that goes into creating an original design like this one as opposed to something that just comes from the show. I think this is a fairly good interpretation of what this minifigure could look like if we ever had gotten it officially. Now in terms of printing quality, again, it's very similar to things with the last one. You do get resistance when bending the legs forward because of this three-dimensional printing. You can bend it further forward if you want, but then you risk it rubbing against the inside of the hip, and that could further damage the printing. So personally, I'm not going to be doing that, but of course there's no issue posing the legs backwards like this. They did include the armor piece, the head and hair piece and everything, which was very nice. Sometimes custom printing companies will only sell you the custom printed parts, and then you have to source the other parts from elsewhere or from your own collection. If you get this one, you do get a complete minifigure, even if none of the parts are like all too rare. The hardest one to get is the armor piece, but that's on bricks and pieces. But still, it's appreciated that the full thing's included. And then yeah, there's no custom face print or anything this time around, so the legs are the only point where like the printing could really become an issue. Oh, and if you're curious, here's how he looks with the mask down. And here he is with his more standard hairpiece. And then the last thing I want to talk about with this minifigure is the price. I'm pretty sure they charged $30 for this one, and I have to be honest, that feels very high for what this figure is. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I totally get, like, custom printed minifigures are not going to be as cheap as official minifigures. This is made by a fan who doesn't have the printing facilities that LEGO has. He also has to source all these official LEGO parts to be printed on, and I totally get that. All of that said, given what is on this minifigure, $30 just feels way too high. The custom printed parts are blue legs and a blue torso, neither of which are too hard of parts to source. The armor piece is somewhat hard to source, but I checked Bricklink and you can get them for like $1 each. And they're on Pick-a-Brick too for even cheaper, but you have to wait for that to arrive, which can take months. Head and hair piece came in a $20 set, like they're very, very common. And I get this is an entirely original design, so this should cost a little bit more for that. But I feel like given the printed parts that you get here, $15 to $20 feels fair to me for a custom printed minifigure like this. Being completely honest with you guys, if I didn't make these videos for my channel, I probably would not have bought this one. I wanted to review it because I have covered like other Ninjago print stuff, but yeah, at least personally, I probably would not have wanted to pay $30 myself if it was not for a video. I think especially looking at these two side by side, the difference in price doesn't really make sense. This one on the left is $3 cheaper, and he has an extra printed part that's double-sided, the double-sided head. He has a custom dyed part, the hairpiece. And then even the individual parts seem a little bit harder to source. Like sand blue for the arms is not the most common color in the world. This armor piece has been very common in the past, but I don't believe it's currently on shelves in this color. The gold one's still available, but I don't think we have any silver ones available right now. As I talked about earlier, like $27 for this one feels perfectly fine. $30 for this guy feels a bit much. Of course, it's all up to you guys, like what you want to pay for, right? Like I said, it's a fan-made project, and you are supporting the project by buying these. But yeah, while I quite like this minifigure, I would have liked for it to be a little more accessible. But I think that's about all I have to show you for the custom printed minifigures in this video. Let me know what you guys think of them in the comments below. As I mentioned, make sure to go check out Ninjago Prints. I'll have their Instagram linked in the description below. Like I've said in my previous custom videos, I'm really happy that this project just exists. I think it's awesome that fans have taken it into their own hands to make the things that LEGO hasn't. And I think both of these figures are really good additions to my custom LEGO collection. And I will say, this lineup looks really cool finally having it complete with all 4 minifigures. I would actually like to see them make the other Dark Ninjas, especially because, I don't know, would like Zane and Cole even need new torsos? They would just need new face prints and hair pieces, right? Because like the official torsos are already grayscale. I guess Zane would need to get rid of the gold buckles on his. But Cole is probably like good already. And actually, that's something I didn't even think about with this one. The fact that it's sand blue and not dark bluish gray makes it different from the official Cole torso. Otherwise, it would just be the same colors as Cole. But yeah, despite my criticisms of the pricing with this one, I still do really like this project and I want to see it continue. So I do recommend that you guys go show the project some support, whether or not you're buying minifigures. But I think that's about going to do it for this video. If you want to check out my other custom printed Ninjago minifigures, I'll have a full playlist linked in the description and in the pinned comment. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to my channel if you're new. Thanks for watching everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!